So about a week or two ago, I really wanted to go see the Backrooms movie. Text everyone I know, and literally everyone was busy that day. Now, this was the first time in a while that I really wanted to go see a new movie in theaters because I had heard all about the hype. I loved the YouTube series and all that. So I was left with really only two options. One, I could wait around for one of my friends to be free later in the week, or two, I could look online for showings that day, buy one ticket, and just see what happens. Guess which one I picked?
Whatever, Caroline.
So I drive into the theater, go in, grab my little snack, find the right theater, get to my seat, had the whole row to myself. Crazy. And about 5 minutes into the movie, I couldn't help but laugh to myself because of how much fun I was having. And if you've seen the Backrooms movie, you'll know that the opening sequence is kind of intense. So I was like covering my eyes, I'm scared. I was literally on the edge of my seat watching this thing, just having the best time ever. And that experience was the inspiration for this video, because today I want to share my thoughts on why being alone is so important, and hopefully inspire you to create one alone experience this week at least. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you how to be alone and how to use it effectively. First, I want to make an important distinction between loneliness and solitude, because they really are not the same feeling. Loneliness is a feeling of isolation when someone notices a gap between their desired social connection and their actual experience. Solitude is simply the experience of not being around other people, usually by choice, to be honest. Solitude is the feeling that I'm describing in this video because loneliness is a whole other topic. One of the biggest benefits of being comfortable being alone is the ability to reflect on yourself. Not necessarily in like a self-improvement kind of way, just in a way of answering questions yourself. Instead of always asking, what do you want to eat? What do you want to do? How do you feel? These are all questions you can ask and answer completely on your own, which develops self-awareness, which is probably one of the most important skills that you will develop in life. Because trust me, enough times of deleting and re-downloading the dating apps, you will eventually start asking why. Once you're able to ask yourself why you do things or think certain things, you'll be able to work backwards and get rid of bad habits or even work through trauma. And just to reiterate here, this all comes from being comfortable when you're by yourself. Something that I often like to do when I'm stressing is grab a notebook and a pen and just sit alone in a room and write out my thought process of why I'm being stressed out. Literally just this one process helps me understand what I'm stressed out about, and I can see my whole thought process and again work backwards. Also allows me to see which parts of the situation that I actually have control over and which parts I don't, which helps decrease stress so much. Another huge benefit of being comfortable alone is being able to act independent of other people. Like, you won't always be relying on other people's approval to do things, leading to a more fulfilling life, all just by sitting alone in a room with a pen and paper. Like, we can literally take any action that we want to take. We can make any choice that we want to, but we just second guess ourselves based on what other people might think. But if you're able to remove what other people would think from the equation, you can actually start to feel like you're making real progress, and that's when you're going to feel the most satisfied. Even as simple as just like taking a day off. Instead of trying to text people to see who's available and see what to go do, you can just sit and think to yourself, what have I been wanting to do recently? And I know I know it seems like a small difference, but it can be a huge change that can lead to some really solid self-reflection. But how do I actually spend time alone? How do I actually do it? It is more effort than just being by yourself. So I've kind of written a small list of things you can do to get the most out of it. So number one, you want to be alone, obviously. Doesn't really need an explanation. Number two, set aside time and choose an experience. This one is going to vary from person to person, but what you can do is set aside a specific period of time in your week to just chill and be with yourself. I'd recommend choosing a small experience to seek, or choose one thought that you've been kind of dealing with in your mind recently and sit and write down, come to a conclusion with that thought. This way, the time you're spending is intentional and directed. If you choose an experience, just give yourself enough time in the day to see it all the way through. For example, do something like after work instead of before and you're all crunched for time and stuff. You get what I'm saying. And if you choose to work through a thought that you've been having, set aside like 30 minutes. That's really all the time you need to do it. And then, like I said, just sit down with the pen and paper, go ahead and write your thought process out, sit with it, ask yourself questions, write them down, write down questions, write down answers. You can come to a conclusion pretty easily just by doing that. All right, number three, minimize distractions within your control. This one's pretty obvious as well, but just keep your phone in a different different room. Keep your devices in a different room while you're doing this. Or if you're out and about doing an experience, just put your phone on Do Not Disturb for a little bit and don't think about texting people. Don't think about taking pictures or whatever. Just keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? That's kind of it. Number 4, just be mindful. Be mindful of what you're doing. You can kind of have your own interpretation of this specific point, but generally you know what I mean. Just make sure you're being conscious of your experience, whether it's during or afterwards. You get it. And yeah, with all that in mind, I hope you can walk away from this video inspired to go do something by yourself in a mindful way. I have an article linked in the description that you can go check out if you want to learn more, but that's pretty much it. Peace out.